yourself? Can you see beyond your mind? Can you shed a light on the treasure that you are? Can you be at ease for a moment? Can you feel that peace and you're owning everything that you are? You already got all you need. You don't need to try so hard. Realize you're right where you need to be. You had it from the very start. Hidden in your heart is a remedy. Don't be sad, don't get stuck in the past. Don't try to force it, nothing will last. Nothing's real if it's not in this moment. Nothing's fear if it's not now. Look inside yourself. Can you see beyond your mind? Can you shed a light on the treasure that you are? Can you be at ease for a moment? Can you feel that peace and you're owning everything that you are? You already got all you need. to try so hard. Realize you're right where you need to be. You had it from the very start. Hidden in your heart, there's a remedy. Don't be sad, don't get stuck in the past. Don't try to force it, nothing will last. Nothing's real if it's not in this moment. Nothing's fear if it's not now. Look inside yourself. Can you see beyond your mind? Can you shed a light on the treasure that you are? Can you be at ease for a moment? Can you feel that peace and zone in everything that you are? You already got all you need. You don't need to try so hard. Realize you're right where you need to be. You had it from the very start. Hidden in your heart, there's a remedy. Don't be sad, don't get stuck in the past. Don't try to force it, nothing will last. Nothing's real if it's not in this moment. Nothing's fear if it's not now.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, 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 everyone. Hi. How are you guys? This is probably like not a good song to start on of this playlist. Give me something better. How are you all? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I forbid you to eat them? Eat who? Eat what? Hi guys, welcome in. Hello and welcome to YouTube. Let's go. Hello, Pink. Hi, Hone. Hi, Black Rose. Gray. This isn't Twitch. How did I get here? This isn't my beautiful house. This isn't my beautiful life. It's early. It is early. Today is an early stream. Annie has stuff to do later, so we're trying out this new type of stream today. Annie has a story for you guys. Annie has a story for you all. Where's the C4? That is why we're on YouTube today. That's part of why we're on YouTube today. So, there is not redeems today. There's not redeems today. That's part of why we put it on YouTube, because YouTube doesn't have the interactions anyway. Hi, Sai! Hi, Beetledo. Thank you for joining us. I forbid you to eat the doors? Well, don't eat the doors, then people can't get in here. Don't worry, Gray. Don't worry, Gray. I will allow for some fun, because I think we have a fun story today. I think we have an interesting story today. We have a story today called Or Your Money Back. So, I think it's gonna be interesting. I think it's gonna give us some stuff to talk about. So, and this is why, Pink, this is why I had to turn everything off on Twitch. I still had someone trying to use a button over on Twitch. So, today is going to be a little bit of a calmer stream, a calmer Slug stream. No throwing around of the Slug. That all comes back tomorrow. You guys can get your aggression out on the Slug tomorrow. Today is a calm day. You just have to check the scuffiness. I got 0 out of 10, 0 scuff. Thank you. I think this will actually be a fairly straightforward stream. The floating beanbag. Do you like the floating beanbag? Is my jelly friend. Calm Slug stream is like praise. Oh, nay. I know, it's a little different. That's why I wanted to try it out. But a lot of you guys have asked me to read to you. And I thought this would be a fun way. If you guys end up liking just the recordings better, I might just do recordings in the future, but I wanted to try doing them live. It's the most excited Gray's been for a YouTube stream. Aww. I needed a mug prop for my coffee. And tea. I have tea today. Reed, where's Waldo? Hello, Reaver. How are you? Are you a bean I know from my Twitch? Sea Slug ASMR. In a way. More like Sea Slug audiobooks. I need a huge teacup. You're getting your mug next week. I'm so excited. For you. It should be there fairly well. All the mugs have gotten there in good condition. I'm very happy for. So, Beans, thank you for joining me over here today. How is our ambiance music? In the background? Do you guys have a little bit of sounds in the back? I just want to make sure we're good before we get reading. Yeah, I probably should make that announcement. I am considering very hard, taking away international shipping for the Slug merch. For context, someone received a gift. It cost me more than was received for the gift because of the international shipping being raised. And the person then had to pay income tax and like tax on that tax and like import stuff, and I don't think that's right. So I'm probably gonna have to keep our stuff to US Canada for the future. It's not something I want to do, but I think it's going to be necessary. it's not fair for people to get hit with a bunch of fees at the end of their stuff too, and especially for like gifts and things. Music good, Annie voice good, chat is chat. You can't hear anything, but you're insane. Lurking since you're mid-Arma Ops. Hi, English! Hell yeah. Canada's also subject to international shipping and tariffs. Then we will have to consider Canada, but yeah. It was like a $90 cup. But by the end of it, I think it was like $60 or so, something like that. Because, and it was like a $30 cup. So, it's not what I want to do, but we may have to confine merch sales to the US for the foreseeable future. Until I get a better company to work through that can do international shipping. I am working on doing some stuff like that, but it probably won't be until the end of the summer that we get a full shop revamp. I'm working on seeing if I can find replacements that aren't gonna cost an arm and a leg for everyone. I know some of the stuff that is shipped out from my one provider, those have not had really bad shipping rates to outside the US, but some from my other printer that I primarily have a lot of things on are costing like $20, $30 to ship sometimes, and that's really not fair to anyone. When I joined Bishoujo, oh my god, could you ever see the Slug in Bishoujo? Like, me alongside Iron Mouse, I would absolutely perish. I would absolutely perish. Also, pain as you missed by a jump num- Oh? Slug time! Hello, Jargon. Are you a bean that I know from my Twitch, or are you a new bean? It's my hardest thing here is getting like the names switched over. The beanie was free shipping, but that's because it was made in the EU. Yeah, so that's what I mean. My one provider has companies that are international, so the shipping's not that bad. But my other provider does not. So until I can cull out those items like entirely and switch over to the other provider, it's not going to be feasible. I would not eat Iron Mouse. I would pat Iron Mouse on the head. She is so precious. It's expensive here in Canada. Just throw your merch across the US-Canada border and Mountie will throw you a bag of toonies in return. That's how you ship! What are toonies? What are toonies? If you joined Bishoujo, you'd be able to bunny outfit again. Oh my god. They would so allow me to do the bunny outfit if I was in Bishoujo. Conquest! Hi, 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 hi. I thought I recognized the icon. But I wanted to make sure. We did follow Mouse really way back when. $2 coins? That's toonies? Okay. Okay. Alright. Before I get too off topic. Today, as I've said, is our first reading stream. Let's get to that pretty soon. Tomorrow, we will be back over on Twitch. We will be back on Twitch building a Zegok, and then I'll have a new schedule for you Monday. Oh my gosh. So, you guys ready for story time? You guys ready for story time? Alright. So, when reading time is up, Slug will be telling you the story. I'm gonna take some breaks, and I'm gonna turn the talking time back on sometimes. If you guys would like to discuss the story with me, I would love to hear your thoughts on it, because I think this is gonna be an interesting story. You like the evil music? I wanted something atmospheric. We're doing sci-fi today. Our story today is For Your Money Back. There are lots of things that are considered perfectly acceptable, provided they don't work. And of course, everyone knows they really don't, which is why they're acceptable. There are times when I don't know my own strength, or at least the strength of my advice. And the case of Jason Howley was certainly an instance of one of those times. When he came to my office with his gadget, I heard him out, trying to appear both interested and cooperative, which is good business. But I am forced to admit that neither Howley nor his gadget were very impressive. He was a lean, slope-shouldered individual, 5 feet 8 or 9, which was shorter than he looked, with straight brown hair combed straight back and blue eyes which were shielded with steel-rimmed glasses. The thick, double concave lenses indicated a degree of myopia that must have bordered on total blindness without glasses and acute tunnel vision even with them. He had a crisp, incisive manner that indicated he was either a man who knew what he was doing or a man who was trying to impress me with a ready-made story. I listened to him and looked at his gadget without giving any more indication than necessary of what I really thought. When he was through, I said, "You understand, Mr. Howley, that I am not a patent lawyer. I specialize in criminal law. Now, I can recommend," but he cut me off. "I understand that, counselor," he said sharply. "Believe me, I have no illusion whatever that this thing is patentable under the present patent system. Even if it were, this gadget is designed to do something that may or may not be illegal, which would make it hazardous to attempt to patent it, I should think. You don't patent new devices for blowing safes or new drugs for doping horses, do you?" "Probably not," I said dryly. "Although, as I say, I'm not qualified to give an opinion on patent law. You say that gadget is designed to cause minute but significant changes in the velocities of small moving objects. Just how does that make it illegal?" He frowned a little. "Well, possibly it wouldn't, except here in Nevada. Specifically, it is designed to influence roulette and dice games." I looked at the gadget with a little more interest this time. There was nothing new in the idea of inventing a gadget to cheat the red and black wheels, of course. The local cops turn up a dozen a day here in the city. Most of them either don't work at all, or else they're too obvious, so the users get nabbed before they have a chance to use them. The only ones that really work have to be installed in the tables themselves, which means they're used to milk the suckers, not rob the management. And anyone in the state of Nevada who buys a license to operate and then uses crooked wheels is stupid, A, stupid, and B, out of business within a week. Howley was right. Only in a place where gambling is legalized is it illegal and unprofitable to rig a game. The gadget itself didn't look too complicated from the outside. It was a black plastic box, about 1.5 inches square and maybe 3.5 long. On one end was a lensed opening, 1/2 inch in diameter, and on 2 sides there were flat, silver-colored plates. On the top of it, there was a dial, which was, say, 1 inch in diameter, and was marked off just exactly like a roulette wheel. "How does it work?" I asked. He picked it up in his hand, holding it as though it were a flashlight, with the lens pointed away from him. "You aim the lens at the wheel," he explained, "making sure that your thumb is touching the silver plate on one side and your fingers touching the plate on the other side. Then, you set this dial for whatever number you want to come up and concentrate on it while the ball is spinning. For dice, of course, you only need to use the first 6 or 12 numbers on the dial, depending on the game." There's a pause, so we're going to take our first moment. So, we're looking at a mind-reading gambling device? I only kind of like poked at this, so I am just as intrigued as any of you are. You feel like you've heard of this in CSI? This does sound like something like that, but like it sounds a little more mystic, like in a way. Like you concentrate on it while the ball is spinning, and you just get the numbers. Ah, yes, fuck the casinos. So, I'm wondering, is he... This is a really conspicuous device, though, wouldn't it? You have to look through it? So, I would feel like if you have to look through this object and, like, hold it a specific way and, like, look at the table, there's no way anyone's not gonna think this crazy guy is doing something, right? Get that patent, get it, and you get a patent on the stuff he mentioned, and he will make millions on the patent, which more gambling. More magic than science. Yeah, right? I'm intrigued where this is going, because this is supposed to be sci-fi, so I'm curious how this is going to be explained. Unless it looks like an old camera, I don't know. There's no mind reading in CSI. You basically be the spotter while the other person's playing. You're right. Like if someone is like behind and they're like, how much of a distance does this work at? You're right. I'm actually kind of curious about that. Let's see what our story holds. I looked at him for a long moment, trying to figure his angle. He looked back steadily, his eyes looking like small beads peering through the bottom of a couple of shot glasses. "You look skeptical, counselor," he said at last. "I am. A man who hasn't got the ability to be healthily skeptical has no right to practice law, especially criminal law. On the other hand, no lawyer has any right to judge anything one way or the other without evidence. But that's neither here nor there at the moment. What I'm interested in is, what do you want me to do? People rarely come to a criminal lawyer unless they're in a jam. What sort of jam are you in at the moment?" "None," said Howley. "But I will be very soon, I hope." Well, I've heard odder statements than that from my clients. I let it ride for the moment and looked down at the notes I'd taken while he told me his story. "You're a native of New York City?" I asked. "That's right, that's what I said." "And you came out here for what? To use that thing on our Nevada tables?" "That's right, counselor." "Can't you find any games to cheat on back home?" "Oh, certainly. Plenty of them. But they aren't legal. I wouldn't care to get mixed up in anything illegal. Besides, it wouldn't suit my purpose." That stopped me for a moment. "You don't consider cheating illegal?" "It certainly is in Nevada. In New York, if you were caught at it, you'd have the big gambling interests on your neck. Here, you'll have both them and the police after you. And the district attorney's office." He smiled. "Yes, I know. That's what I'm expecting. That's why I need a good lawyer to defend me. I understand you're the top man in this city." "Mr. Howley," I said carefully, "as a member of the Bar Association and a practicing attorney in the state of Nevada, I am an officer of the court. If you had been caught cheating and had come to me, I'd be able to help you. But I can't enter into a conspiracy with you to defraud legitimate businessmen, which is exactly what this would be." He blinked at me through those shot glass spectacles. "Counselor, would you refuse to defend a man if you thought he was guilty?" I shook my head. "No. Legally, a man is not guilty until proven so by a court of law. He has a right to trial by jury. For me to refuse to give a man the defense he is legally entitled to just because I happen to think he was guilty would be trial by attorney. I'll do the best I can for any client. I'll work for his interests, no matter what my private opinion may be." He looked impressed, so I guess there must have been a note of conviction in my voice. There should have been, because it was exactly what I've always believed and practiced. That's good, counselor, said Howley. If I can convince you that I have no criminal intent, that I have no intention of defrauding anyone or conspiring with you to do anything illegal, will you help me? I didn't have to think that one over. I simply said yes. After all, it was still up to me to decide whether he convinced me or not. If he didn't, I could still refuse on the case on those grounds. That's fair enough, counselor, he said, and then he started talking. Instead of telling you what Jason Howley said he was going to do, I'll tell you what he did do. They are substantially the same anyway, and the old bromide about actions speaking louder than words certainly applied in this case. Mind you, I didn't see or hear any of this, but there were plenty of witnesses to testify as to what went on. Their statements are a matter of court record, and Jason Howley's story is substantiated in every aspect. He left my office smiling. He convinced me that the case was not only going to be worthwhile, but fun. I took it, plus a fat retainer. Howley went up to his hotel room, changed into his expensive evening clothes, and headed out to do the town. I'd suggested several places, but he wanted the biggest and the best. The Golden Casino, a big, plush, expensive place that was just inside the city limits. In his pockets, he was carrying less than $200 in cash. Now, nobody with that kind of chicken feed can expect to last long at the Golden Casino, unless they stick to the two-bit one-armed bandits. But putting money on a roulette table is in a higher bracket by far than feeding a slot machine, even if you get a steady run of lemons. Howley didn't waste any time. He headed for the roulette table right away. He watched the play for about 3 spins of the wheel, then he took out his gadget, in plain sight of anyone who cared to watch, and set the dial for 13. Then he held it in his hand, and with thumb and finger touching the plates, he put his hand in his jacket pocket, with the lens aimed at the wheel. He stepped up to the table, bought $100 worth of chips, and put 50 on number 13. "No more bets," said the croupier. He spun the wheel and dropped the ball. 13, black, odd, and low, he chanted after a minute with a practiced hand. He raked in the losers and pushed out Howley's winnings. There were $1,600 sitting on 13 now. Howley didn't touch it. The wheel went around, and the little ball clattered around the rim and finally fell into a slot. 13, black, odd, and low, said the croupier. This time, he didn't look as nonchalant. He peered curiously at Howley as he pushed out the chips to make a grand total of $51,200. The same number doesn't come up twice in succession very often, and it is very rare indeed that the same person is covering it both times with a riding bet. 2,000 limit, sir, the croupier said, when it looked as though Howley was going to let the 51 grand just sit there. Howley nodded, apologetically, pulled off everything but $2,000 worth of chips. The third time around, the croupier had his eyes directly on Howley, as he repeated the chant, 13 black, odd and low. Everybody else at the table was watching Howley too. The odds against Howley, or anyone else for that matter, hitting the same number 3 times in a row, are just under 40,000 to 1. Howley didn't want to overdo it. He left 2,000 on 13, raked in the rest, and twisted the dial on his gadget over a notch. Everyone at the table gasped as the little ball dropped. That was a near miss. The croupier said 14, red, even and low, and he raked in Howley's $2,000 with a satisfied smile. He had seen runs of luck before. Howley deliberately took 2 more spins the same way. Nobody who was actually cheating would call too much attention to himself, and Howley wanted it to look as though he were trying to cover up the fact he had a sure thing. He took the gadget out of his pocket and deliberately set it to the green square marked 00. Then he put it back in his pocket and put $2,000 on the 00. There was more than suspicion in the croupier's eyes when he raked in all the bets on the table except Howley's. It definitely didn't look good to him. A man who had started out with a $50 bill had managed to run it up to $174,200 in 6 plays. Howley looked as innocent as possible under the circumstances, and carefully dropped the dial on his gadget back a few notches. Then, he bet another $2,000 on high, an even money bet. Naturally, he won. He twisted the dial back a few more notches, and won again on high. Then he left it where it was, and won by betting on red. By this time, of course, things were happening. The croupier had long since pressed the alarm button, and 5 men had carefully surrounded Howley. They looked like customers, but they were harder looking than the average, and they were watching Howley. Not the wheel. Farther back from the crowd, 3 of the special deputies from the sheriff's office were trying to look inconspicuous in their gray uniforms and white Stetsons, pearl-handled revolvers and black holsters. You can imagine how inconspicuous they looked. Howley decided to do it up brown. He reset his gadget as surreptitiously as possible under the circumstances, and put his money on 13 again. 13 black, odd and low, said the croupier in a hollow voice. The 5 men in evening dress and 3 deputies moved in closer. Howley nonchalantly scraped in his winnings, leaving $2,000 on the 13 spot. There was a combination of hostility and admiration in every eye around the table when the croupier said, 13 black, odd, and low, for the 5th time in the space of minutes. And every one of those eyes was turned on Jason Howley. The croupier smiled his professional smile. "I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have to discontinue play for a while. The gentleman has broken the bank at this table." He turned the smile on Howley. "Congratulations, sir." Howley smiled back and began stacking up over $300,000 worth of plastic discs. It made quite a pile. One of the deputies stepped up politely. "I'm an officer, sir," he said. "May I help you carry that to the cashier's office?" Howley looked at the gold star and nodded. "Certainly. Thanks." The other 2 deputies stepped up too, and the 3 of them walked Howley toward the cashier's office. Behind them came the 5 men in dinner jackets. "You'll have to step into the office to cash that much, sir," said one of the deputies as he opened the door. Howley walked in as though he hadn't a care in the world. He put his chips on the desk, and the deputies followed suit while one of the dinner-jacketed men closed the door. Then one of the deputies said, "I believe this gentleman is carrying a gun." He had his own revolver out and had it pointed at Howley's middle. "Carrying a concealed weapon is illegal in this city," he went on. "I'm afraid we'll have to search you." Howley didn't object. He put his hands up as high as he stood there while his pockets were frisked. "Well, well," said the deputy coolly. "What on earth is this?" It was Howley's gadget, with the dial still pointed to 13 black, odd and low. Okay, for one, I need to charge my headset, so I needed to pull a wire over. For 2, what the fuck is this thing that he has invented? And why did he even play that much? I'm sorry, I would have played like 1 or 2 times. I am out of there with my money. I am not going to press my luck. Why is he doing this? Hello, Hefty Hamster. How are you today? Also, there's a couple of phrases. This is a little older book. There's a couple of phrases that throw me a few times. What is he doing? Does he have a smart plan, or is he the most stupid of dude in ages? There's a couple, like, phrases I don't get. Like, Howley decided to do it up brown. I've never heard that term before, so I was a little bit confused by that. Also, can anyone tell me if I'm saying croupier right? It's supposed to be like the person who's like doing the betting tables for the roulette, but I'm pronouncing it as best as I can by it. Yes, we are only streaming on YouTube today. We are doing a little bit of a different stream. I am reading you guys a story, and we're having a few intermissions to talk and discuss the book. And I figured it was easier for us to do on YouTube because no interactions anyway. That sounds correct. Okay. The phrase doing something up brown is an idiom that means doing something thoroughly or completely. Okay. I'm curious where that phrase came from. It's actually very interesting. I'm also taking a tea break to make sure I keep my throat in check. Because we are maybe a quarter of the way through the story. I picked short stories because they said on the page that no one knows. No one knows where it came from? Oh my gosh. It's just a phrase. It's just a phrase like that. I figured we would take kind of today to judge how long it takes me to read one of these to you guys. So right now we're about a quarter way through our story. All right, I've had some tea. Thank you, Hefty Hamster. I will see you later, Bean. All right. The next morning, I went down to the jail in response to a phone call from Howley. The special deputies had turned him over to the city police, and he was being held under suspicion of fraud. I knew we could beat that down to an attempt to defraud, but the object was to get Howley off scot-free. After Howley told me the whole story, I got busy pushing the case through. As long as he was simply being held on suspicion, I couldn't get him out on bail, so I wanted to force a district attorney or the police to prefer charges. Meanwhile, I made sure that Howley's gadget had been impounded as evidence. I didn't want anyone fiddling with it before the case went to court, except, of course, the DA and his men. There wasn't much I could do to keep it out of their hands. After throwing as much weight around as I could, including filing a petition for a writ of habeas corpus with Judge Granis, I went over to Howley's hotel with a signed power of attorney that Howley had given me, and I got a small envelope out of the hotel safe. It contained a baggage check. I went over to the bus depot, turned over the check to the baggage department, and went to my office with a small suitcase. I locked myself in and opened the case. Sure enough, it contained 3 dozen of the little gadgets. Then I sat down to wait. By noon, Judge Granis had issued the writ of habeas corpus, and rather than release Jason Howley, the police had booked him, and District Attorney Thursby was getting the case ready for the grand jury. There was over $250,000 at stake, and the men behind the Golden Casino were bringing pressure to bear. If Howley wasn't convicted, they'd have to give him his money, and that was the last thing they wanted to do. $250,000 isn't small potatoes, even to a gambling syndicate. It wasn't until early on the morning of the 3rd day that Howley's arrest that I got a tip-off from one of my part-time spies. I scooped up the phone when it rang and identified myself. "Counselor? Look, this is Benny." I recognized the voice and name. Benny was one of the cabbies that I'd done favors for in the past. What's the trouble, Benny? Oh, no trouble. I just got a little tip you might be interested in. Fire away. Well, the DA and some of his boys went into the Golden Casino about 10 minutes ago, and now they're closing up the place. Just for a little while, I understand. Hour, maybe. They're chasing everyone out of the roulette room. Thanks, Benny, I said. Thanks a lot. Well, I knew you was working on that Howley case. I thought this might be important, so I... Sure, Benny. Come by my office this afternoon. And thanks again. I hung up and started moving. Within 10 minutes, I was pulling up and parking across the street from the Golden Casino. I locked the car and dodged traffic to get across the street, as though I'd never heard of laws against jaywalking. There were still plenty of people in the casino. The bar was full, the dice and card games were going full blast. The slot machines were jingling, out their infernal din, while fools fed coins into their insatiable innards. But the roulette room was closed, and a couple of Bestetsoned deputies were standing guard over the entrance. I headed straight for them. Both of them stood, pat, blocking my way, so I stopped a few feet in front of them. Hello, counselor, said one. Sorry, the roulette room is closed for today. I knew the man slightly. Let me in, Jim. I want to see Thursby. The men exchanged glances. Obviously, the DA had given them orders. Can't do it, counselor, said Jim. We're not to let anyone in. Tell Thursby I'm out here and that I want to see him. He shrugged, opened the door, stuck his head inside, and called to District Attorney Thursby to tell him that I was outside. I could hear Thursby's muffled "damn" from within. When he showed up at the door, his face was all smiles. What's the trouble? He said pleasantly. I smiled back, giving him my best. No trouble at all, Thursby. I just wanted to watch the experiment. Experiment? He looked honestly surprised, which was a fine piece of acting. We're just checking to see if the table's wired, that's all. If it is, your client may be in the clear. Maybe we can hang it on the croupier. And get a conspiracy charge on my client too, eh? Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to watch that table check myself. You know how it is. Thursby hesitated, and then he scowled. Oh, all right. Come on in, but stay out of the way. I grinned. Sure. All I want to do is protect my client's interests. Thursby just grunted and opened the door wider to let me in. He was a shrewd lawyer and a good DA, and basically honest, even if he did have a tendency to bend under pressure from higher up. They were checking the table all right. They had 3 specialists going over it with everything from fine-tooth combs to Geiger counters. They found nothing. No magnets, no wires, no mechanical gimmicks. Nothing. It took them an hour to take that table apart, check it, and put it back together again. When it was all over, Thursby glanced at me, then said, "Okay, boys, that does it. Let's go." The men looked at him oddly, and I knew why. Aren't you going to test my client's gadget? I asked innocently. Thursby looked angrily baffled for a moment, then he clamped his lips grimly. As long as we're here, I guess we might as well. I knew perfectly well that it was what he intended to do all along. One of you guys spin that wheel, he said to the technicians. One of them gave the wheel a spin and dropped the ball. It clattered on its merry way and dropped into a slot. 42. Thursby took the gadget out of his pocket. It was still set on 13. The men who had surrounded Howley on the night of his arrest had been keeping their eyes open, and they had seen how Howley had handled the thing. Well, almost how. Thursby had the lens pointed at the wheel, but his thumb and forefinger weren't touching the silver plates properly. "Spin it again," he said. Everyone's eyes were on the ball as it whirled. So I had time to get my own copy of Howley's gadget out and set it to 13. I hoped the thing would work for me. I concentrated on 13, making sure my thumb and forefingers were placed right. Evidently they were. The ball fell into 13 black, odd and low. A huge grin spread over Thursby's face, but he was man enough not to turn and grin at me. "Try it again," he said. 13 black, odd and low. "I wonder how the thing works," said Thursby, looking at the gadget in a sort of pleased awe. "You'd better be able to prove that it does work, Thursby," I said, trying to put irritation into my voice. This time, he did grin at me. "Oh, I think we can prove that all right." He turned back to the technician. "Spin it once more, Sam, and show the defense counsel here how it works." The technician did as he was told. 13 black, odd and low, he chanted, grinning. "Let's try another number," Thursby said. He turned the dial to 1. This time when he pointed it, his fingers were touching the plates in the right places. "Just a minute," I said. "Let me spin that thing." "Be my guest, counselor." I spun the wheel and scooted the ball along the rim. It dropped into a slot. 1 red, odd and low. I looked as disappointed and apprehensive as I could. "Coincidence," I said. "Nothing more. You haven't proved anything." Thursby's grin widened. "Of course I haven't," he said with a soothing, patronizing voice. "But I don't have to prove anything until I get to court." Then he looked at the technicians and jerked his head towards the door. "Let's go, boys. Maybe the counselor wants to look over the table for himself. Maybe he thinks we've got it rigged." There was a chorus of guffaws as they walked out. I just stood there scowling, trying to keep from laughing even harder than they were. Jason Howley sat next to me at the defense table, just inside the low partition that divided the court from the public. There weren't many people in the auditorium itself. Listening to some poor dope get himself sentenced for cheating at gambling is considered pretty dull entertainment in the state of Nevada. Thursby had managed to push the indictment through the grand jury in a hurry, but as he sat across the room from me at the prosecution table, I thought I could detect a false note in the assumed look of confidence that he was trying to wear. Howley tapped me on the shoulder. I turned around and he whispered, "How much longer?" I tapped my wristwatch. "Couple minutes. Judge Lapworth is one of those precisionists. Never a moment late or early. Getting jumpy?" He shook his head gently and smiled. "No, you've handled this even better than I'd have imagined. You thought of things I didn't even know existed. I'm no lawyer, I can see that." I returned the smile. "And I don't invent gimmicks either. So what?" His eyes looked at me from behind the distorting negative glasses. "I've been wondering, counselor, why are you so interested in this? I mean, I offered you a pretty good fee and all that, but it seems to me you've taken an unusual interest in this case." I grinned at him. "Mr. Howley, my profession is law with a capital L. The study of the law isn't like the study of physics or whatever these are man-made laws. Commands, not descriptions. They don't necessarily have anything to do with facts at all. Take the word insanity, for instance. The word isn't even used by head shrinkers anymore because it's a legal definition that has nothing to do with whatever the condition of the human mind is. Now, any such set of laws as that can't be possibly be self-consistent, and still have some use on an action level. A lawyer's job is to find the little inconsistencies in the structure, the places where the pieces have been jammed together in an effort to make them look like a structured whole, to find, in other words, the loopholes and use them. And when I find a loophole, I like to wring everything I can out of it. I'm enjoying this." Howley nodded. "I see. But what if something..." I held up my hand to silence him, because the door to the judge's chambers opened at that moment, and Judge Lapworth came in as the bailiff announced him. We all stood up while the bailiff intoned his "Oyez, oyez." Thursby made a short preliminary speech to the jury, and I requested and was granted permission to hold my own opening statement until the defense was ready to present its case. Thursby was looking worried, although it took a trained eye to see it. I was pretty sure I knew why. He had been pushed too hard, and had gone too fast. He'd managed to slide through the grand jury too easily, and I had managed to get the trial date set for a week later. Thursby's case was far from being as tight as he wanted it. We're gonna take a small talk time because I could use some tea. And I think we're getting about halfway through our story. So a corrupt lawyer and a stupid genius creator are going to court. This sounds like the start of a bad joke. But yeah, Geiger counters. They use Geiger counters on the table. The Grey is so interested but also confused. I'm very confused. I want to know how this works. I want to know if they're ever going to explain how it works. How are they going to get him out of this? Ugh. So. What is... Has anyone else ever heard this, like, oyez, oyez thing, that the bailiff says? I've never heard this phrase before. Like, I kind of said it like, all rise, all rise. I don't know if that's what it's supposed to be. It sounds like an episode of some smarty smart manga. Do you have a permit for this book reading? Neko! Hi, Neko! I actually do. There's a license at the bottom of this from the Gutenberg Library. There's a license. I do have a license. So yes, I actually do have a permit to read this. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued how this thing works. I'm confused what their plan is. They obviously know what they're doing. You in this time. Tell me how you bend the set of physics to set probabilities. Yeah, right? Right? I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. Hi, Godzilla! How are you? How are you? How are you? It's nice to see you here, Bean. It's nice to see all you guys here. Thank you guys for coming to our first reading stream. I hope you guys are enjoying it. I've been trying to do my best. I feel like I've tripped over a few words here and there, but it is my first time reading through all this. Time for you to talk about coffee? What coffee do you have? What coffee do you have? Do you guys want to make this a little intermission break and have a little chat with the slug? Then we will get back to our story. Because I could use some tea. Annie's first time ever reading. Impressive. Yes, it's my first time reading a book ever. Jellyfish chair. Thank you, Tony. It's very cute, right? You're just getting out of work? How am I? I am doing great today. I'm enjoying our first story time over here. It's nice. It's kind of relaxing. Please leave a like. We're trying to get 20 likes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You have no coffee right now, but there's a new monthly coffee from one of your brands. Blueberry bourbon. I wonder how that is. I wonder how that is. Yep. Are you going to be getting it soon? Are you going to be getting it soon? We recently tried a new coffee. It's like a Pacific Sunset or Sunrise, but I don't know if we really like it. You just drink coffee. Just whatever coffee, right? I will only drink whole bean coffee. Am I reading or making a story up on the spot? Oh my god, I could never. No, I'm reading a story. This, let me go back up to the top. This is a book, a short story, written by David Gordon, released in 2007. So it's not even that old. It's not even that old of a book. Gray drinks souls, only souls. If I was making it up on the spot, you'd be extremely impressed. I would be impressed with myself. When you're paid out next from previous experience, it's probably good. Oh, yeah. You're thinking of getting another coffee mug, though. What kind of mug you want to get? Something strong. You like a strong coffee. I like a strong coffee. I usually like the rich blend, but this new one doesn't taste good on the rich blend setting. So how are you guys enjoying our first reading stream? Do you guys like so far? Do you guys enjoy the style? Are you guys enjoying the kind of calm vibes as opposed to our usual vibes? You want to get the hydrant mug, but you may get the Slug. Oh, boys, you're so sweet. You want more of these streams? Yay! I would love to bring you guys more stuff like this. It's a nice relaxed atmosphere stream. You say words good. Not too fast, not too slow. I tried to pick something interesting for you guys. Which I think we're about halfway through. Would you guys like to get back to the story? Let's grab our book. I just sat still while the prosecution brought forth its witnesses and evidence. The croupier, the deputies, several employees of the Golden Casino, and a couple of patrons all told their stories. I waived cross-examination in every case, which made Thursby even edgier than he had been. When he called in the head of the technicians, who had inspected the table at the casino, I made no objection to his testimony, but I made my first cross-examination. Mr. Thompson, you have stated your qualifications as an expert on the various devices which have been used to illegally influence the operation of gambling devices in this state. Thursby said, "Oh, if the court please, I should like to remind counsel for the defense that he has already accepted the qualifications of the witness." "I am not attempting to impugn the qualifications of the witness," I snapped. Judge Lapworth frowned at Thursby. "Are you making an objection, Mr. District Attorney?" Thursby pursed his lips, said, "No, Your Honor," and sat down. "Proceed with the cross-examination," said the judge. "Mr. Thompson," I said, "you have testified that you examined the table at the Golden Casino for such devices and found none. Is that right?" "That's right," he said positively. "Have you seen the device labeled People's Exhibit A, which was found by the officers on the person of the defendant?" "Well, yes, I have." "Have you examined this device?" Thursby was on his feet. "Objection, Your Honor. This material was not brought out in direct examination." "Sustained," said Judge Lapworth. "Very well, Your Honor," I said, then turned back to Thompson. "As an expert in this field, Mr. Thompson, you have examined many different devices for cheating gambling equipment, haven't you?" "Yes, I have." "How many would you say?" "Oh, several hundred." "Several hundred different types?" "No, several hundred individual devices. Most of them are just variations of 2 or 3 basic types. And you are familiar with the function of these basic types and their variations?" "I am." "You know exactly how all of them work." He saw where I was heading. "Most of them?" He hedged. "Have you ever examined any which you cannot understand?" "I don't quite know what you mean." Have you ever, I said firmly, come across a device used in cheating which you could not comprehend or explain the operation of? Thursby stood up. Same objection as before, Your Honor. Your Honor, I said, I am merely trying to find the limitation of the witness' knowledge. I am not trying to refute his acknowledged ability. Overruled, said Lapworth. The witness will answer the question. I repeated the question. Yes, Thompson said in a low voice. More than once? Only once. Only once did you find one device which didn't operate in any fashion you can explain, is that right? That's right. Can you tell me what this device was? Thompson took a deep breath. It was People's Exhibit A, the device taken from the defendant at the time of his arrest. There was a buzz in the courtroom. No more questions, I said, turning away. Then before Thompson could leave the stand, I turned back to him. Oh, just one moment, Mr. Thompson. Did you examine this device carefully? Did you take it apart? I opened it and looked at it. You just looked at it. You didn't subject it to any tests. Thompson took a deep breath. No. Why not? There wasn't anything inside it to test. It is just an empty box, guys. It is an empty box. But it's not like it's not like it's contained to just the one guy using it. So it's not like he's the mind magicer. Yes, I'm sorry, what? Yes, the box is completely empty. There is nothing in it. It is an empty black box. And also Godzilla, yes, I do have quite a few model kits on there. You were like, I did not mean to not read chat for a bit. Just the new style of this stream is gonna be, we've got talk time and we have reading time. You'll use the heart of the cards to cheat in Vegas. Bro, you can have the box itself be the device. Seriously, what on... Okay, that's not the right music, excuse me, right? That wasn't what was playing, right? I'm so confused. Did we just have, like... No, that wasn't on my end. That wasn't on my end, I don't think. I talk during read time. I read during read time. Bro, manifesting the win. We obey the laws of physics in this house. In this house of cards, we obey the laws of physics. Sir, you have brought some kind of space device here. What have you brought? This was written in 07. Well, in 06 there was a weird manifesting documentary. Oh my god. Hey Gray, how are you? Oh, I didn't read your name was in here for a second. How are you today? Other Gray. We have Gray and Gray. So there's one part you're having a problem following. Did the butler kill the gentleman so he could steal his wife? Or nah, fuck gravity. You're the real Gray. Is there going to be a fight amongst the Grays? Yes, there's a Gray with an A and a Gray with an E. So there's also, just so you guys know, there are some pictures and they're like depictions of like the court scenes and stuff like that. These are Gray times. Valyria Slim Shady, please stand up. Please stand up. I'm kind of baffled there's nothing in the box, so guys, I want to see what the heck this is. was I gonna get out of this? This time, there was more than just a buzz around the courtroom. Judge Lapworth rapped for order. When the room was quiet, I said, "The box was empty then?" "Well, not exactly empty. It had some stuff in it." I turned to the judge. "If the court please, I would like to have the so-called device, Exhibit A, open so that the members of the jury may see for themselves what it contains." Judge Lapworth said, "The court would very much like to see the internal workings of this device too. Bailiff, if you will, please." The bailiff handed him the gadget from the exhibit table. "How does it open?" he asked the judge. He turned to Thompson. "Will the witness please open the box?" Reluctantly, Thompson thumbed the catch and slid off the top. The judge took it from him, looked inside, and stared for a long moment. I had already seen the insides. It was painted white. There were inked lines running all over the inside and various pictures. A ball, a pair of dice, a roulette wheel, and some other symbols that I didn't pretend to understand. Otherwise, the box was empty. After a moment, Judge Lapworth looked up from the box and stared at Thursby. Then he looked at Thompson. "Just what tests did you perform on this thing, Mr. Thompson?" "Well, Your Honor," Thompson said, visibly nervous, "I checked it for all kinds of radiation and magnetism. There isn't anything like that coming from it, but," he said lamely, "there wasn't much else to test, not without damaging the box." "I see." His Honor glared at Thursby, but didn't say anything to him. He simply ordered the box to be shown to the jury. Thursby was grimly holding his ground, waiting. "Have you any more questions, Counselor?" the judge asked. "No, Your Honor, I have not." "The witness may step down," said His Honor to Thompson. Thursby stood up. "If the court please, I would like to stage a small demonstration for the members of the jury." The court gave permission, and a roulette wheel was hauled in on a small table. I watched with interest, and without objection, while Thursby demonstrated the use of the gadget, and then asked each of the jurors in turn to try it. It was a long way from being a successful demonstration. Some of the jurors didn't hold the thing right. Some of those that did just didn't have the mental ability required to use it. But that didn't bother Thursby. "Your Honor and gentlemen of the jury, you are all aware that a device constructed for the purposes of cheating at any gambling game is not necessarily 100% infallible. It doesn't have to be. All it has to do is turn the odds in favor of the user. You are all familiar with loaded dice, I'm sure. And you know that loading dice for one set of numbers merely increases the probability that those numbers will come up. It does not guarantee that they will come up every time. It's the same with marked cards. Marking the back of a deck of cards doesn't mean that you will invariably get a better hand than your opponent. It doesn't even mean that you will win every hand. The device taken from the defendant at the Golden Casino does not, as you have seen, work every time. But as you have also seen, it certainly does shift the odds by a considerable percentage. And that, I submit, is illegal under the laws of this state." He went on building on that theme for a while, then he turned the trial over to the defense. "Call Dr. Pettigrew to the stand," I said. I heard Thursby gasp, but I ignored it. A chunky, balding man with a moon face and an irritated expression came up to be sworn in. He was irritated with me for having subpoenaed him, and he showed it. I hoped he wouldn't turn out to be hostile. "You are Dr. Herbert Pettigrew?" I asked. "That is correct." "State your residence, please." 3109 La Jolla Boulevard, Los Angeles, California. "You are called Dr. Pettigrew, I believe. Would you tell the court what right you have to that title?" He looked a little miffed, but he said, "It is a scholarly title, a doctorate of philosophy and physics from Massachusetts Institute of Technology." "I see. Would you mind telling the court what other academic degrees you have?" He reeled off a list of them, all impressive. "Thank you, doctor," I said. "Now, what is your present occupation?" "I am a professor of physics at the University of California in Los Angeles." I went on questioning him to establish his ability in the field. By the time I was finished, the jury was pretty well impressed with his status in the scientific brotherhood, and not once did Thursby object. Then I said, "Dr. Pettigrew, I believe you came to the city on a professional matter." "Yes, I did." He didn't hesitate to answer, so I figured I hadn't got his goat too much. "And what was the nature of that matter?" "I was asked to come here by Mr. Harold Thursby, the district attorney, to perform some scientific tests on the, device, the device known as People's Exhibit A." "Did you perform these tests?" "I did." "At the request of District Attorney Thursby, is that right?" "That is correct." "Then may I ask why Mr. Thursby did not call you as a witness for the prosecution?" Thursby, as I expected, was on his feet. "Objection! The question calls for a conclusion of the witness." "Sustained," said Judge Lapworth. "Dr. Pettigrew," I said, "what were your findings in reference to Exhibit A?" He shrugged. "The thing is a plastic box with a dial set in one side, a plastic lens in one end, and a couple of strips of silver along two other sides. Inside, there are a lot of markings in black ink on white paint." He gestured towards the exhibit table. "Just what you've seen. That's all there is to it." "What sort of test did you perform to determine this, Dr. Pettigrew?" I asked. He took a long time answering that one. He had x-rayed the thing thoroughly, tested it with apparatus I'd never heard of, taking scrapings from all over it for microchemical analysis, and even tried it himself on a roulette wheel. He hadn't been able to make it work. "And what is your conclusion from this finding?" I asked. Again, he shrugged. "The thing is just a box. That's all. It has no special properties." "Would you say that it could be responsible for the phenomenon we have just seen? By that, I mean the peculiar action of the roulette wheel demonstrated here by the prosecution." "Definitely not," he stated flatly. "The box could not possibly have any effect on either the wheel or the ball." "I see. Thank you, doctor. That's all. Cross-examine." Thursby walked over to the witness stand with a belligerent scowl on his face. "Dr. Pettigrew, you say that the box couldn't possibly have had any effects on the wheel, and yet we have demonstrated that there is an effect. Don't you believe the testimony of your own senses?" "Certainly I do," snapped Pettigrew. "Then how do you account for the behavior of the roulette wheel, as you have just seen it demonstrated in this court?" I suppressed a grin. Thursby was so mad he was having trouble expressing himself clearly. "In several ways," Pettigrew said sharply. "In the first place, that wheel could be rigged." Thursby purpled. "Now just a minute, I started to object, but Judge Lapworth beat me to it. "Are you objecting to the answer, Mr. District Attorney?" The witness is insinuating that I falsified evidence. I am not, said Pettigrew, visibly angrily. He asked me how I could account for its behavior, and I told you one way. There are others. The wheel will be examined, said Judge Lapworth darkly. Tell us the other ways, Dr. Pettigrew. Pure chance, said Pettigrew. Pure chance, Your Honor. I'm sure that everyone in this courtroom has seen runs of luck on a roulette wheel. According to the laws of probability, such runs must inevitably happen. Frankly, I believe that just such a run has occurred here. I do not think for a minute that Mr. Thursby or anyone else rigged that wheel. I see. Thank you, Dr. Pettigrew, said the judge. Any further questions, Mr. District Attorney? No further questions. So, the district attorney was attempting to cover up the fact that he actually had someone come in and go, no, it's not possible that that could even remotely happen. And he just went, no, I'm not going to use his testimony. Peter Pettigrew? Yes, it sounds like Peter Pettigrew. I keep thinking of that every time I read it. This is some voodoo type shit. Right? I'm... How are they going to turn this into actually being about physics? I'm curious, because it... How does this end up working? I really hope they actually tell us. I needed a moment to have a little bit of tea. Witchy nonsense. I hope it ends up actually being like science though. I hope. Oh, they use a Flexian field to disrupt the senses, and in the glitches between time they can move the ball. That's an interesting take. That's an interesting take. Flex tape? What? Everything flex tape? Or are you saying that to Flexian field? Oh. We are in our last little quarter of the book. We're in our last little quarter of the book. Is a short story. I wanted to start with some short stories so I can kind of gauge how long this is going to take. Now I can kind of like plan the next couple streams off of about how long this one was. I'm always like waiting for chat because chat comes in later on YouTube, so I'm always trying to make sure that I'm not ignoring anyone. This week's short story, next week, Cimmerillion. No! No. Next week we read, what am I thinking of? Discworld. Yeah. About 2 hours. Yeah. Yeah, about 2 hours. Wasn't too bad, I think. I was expecting longer. I was expecting this to take me longer. Now I've got a good idea, though. So, the other option we have is if we can discuss more reading streams? Yeah. The other option is if you guys want a little longer form, we could do a book in chapters for a few weeks. It's been 2 hours already. Does it not feel like it? Does it not feel like it? So is this a good way to pass time with the slug? Thank you guys again for being here. Thank you guys for coming over to YouTube. I know it's a little bit different. Hour 23 with intro and talkie. We got another little bit to go. Definitely less game breaking problems. Oh, well, there is so little running on this stream. There's so little running on this stream. There's, like, almost no room for scuff. This is, like, the easiest setup on me. Meow, meow. So. Let's finish our story, because I want to see if they have an explanation for us. You can scuff anything. Yes, this does help a lot with me getting monetized. This is definitely, if a game isn't working, fallback. Yeah, you guys think so? If we really have a game like cancel, just have everyone go to YouTube and do a reading stream. I'll try and keep some books available. Not a bad idea. Let's see what this, ketchup on popcorn Vega? Why? Why ketchup on, that sounds so slimy. That sounds so slimy. I hate that idea. And you need to stretch. I've been sitting in the same spot for a while. Alright. Would you guys like to finish the story with me? Yeah. Call your next witness, said the judge, looking at me. I call Mr. Jason Howley to the stand. Howley sat down and was sworn in. I went through the preliminaries, then asked, Mr. Howley, you've seen People's Exhibit A. I have. To whom does it belong? It is mine. It was taken from me by... Just answer the question, please. I admonished him. He knew his script, but he was jumping the gun. The device is yours, then. That's right. Under what circumstances did this device come into the hands of the police? He told what had happened on the night of the big take at the Golden Casino. Would you explain to us just what this device is? I asked when he'd finished. Certainly. It's a good luck charm. I could hear the muffled reaction in the courtroom. A good luck charm. I see. Then it has no effect on the wheel at all. Oh, I wouldn't say that, Howley said disarmingly. He smiled and looked at the jury. It certainly has some effect. It's the only good luck charm I've ever had that worked. The jury was grinning right back at him. They were all gamblers at heart, and I never knew a gambler yet who didn't have some sort of good luck charm or superstition when it came to gambling. We had them in all the palms of our hands. What I mean is, does it have any physical effect on the wheel? Howley looked puzzled. Well, I don't know about that. That's not my field. You better ask Dr. Pettigrew. There was a smothered laugh somewhere in the courtroom. Just how do you operate this good luck charm, Mr. Howley? Why, you just hold it so your thumb touches one strip of silver, and your finger touches the other. Then you set the dial to whatever number you want to come up and wish. Wish? Just wish, Mr. Howley? Just wish. That's all. What else can you do with a good luck charm? This time, the judge had to pound for order to stop the laughing. I turned Howley over to Thursby. The DA hammered at him for half an hour, trying to get something out of Howley, but he didn't get anywhere useful. Howley admitted that he'd come to Nevada to play the wheels. What was wrong with that? He admitted that he'd come to try out his good luck charm. And what was wrong with that? He even admitted that it worked for him every time. And what was wrong, pray, with that? Thursby knew he was licked. He'd known it for a long time. His summations to the jury showed it. The expressions on the faces of the jury as they listened showed it. They brought in a verdict of not guilty. When I got back to my office, I picked up the phone and called the Golden Casino. I asked for George Brocky, the manager. When I got him on the phone and identified myself, he said, "Oh, it's you." His voice didn't sound friendly. "It's me," I said. "I suppose you're going to slap a suit for false arrest on the casino now, eh, counselor?" "Not a bit of it, George," I said. "The thought occurred to me that I think we can come to terms." "Yeah?" "Nothing to it, George. You give us the 300 grand, and we don't do a thing." "Yeah?" He didn't get it. He had to fork over the money anyway, according to the court order, so what was the deal? "If you want to go a little further, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll give you one of our little good luck charms, if you'll promise to call your boys off Howley." "Nobody's on Howley," he said. "You ought to know better than that. In this state, if we get whipped in court, we play it square. Did you think we were going to get rough?" "No, but you kind of figured on lifting that gadget as soon as he gets it back from the DA, didn't you? I saw your boys waiting at his hotel. I'm just telling you that you don't have to do that. We'll give you the gadget. There are plenty more where that came from." "I see," Rocky said after a long pause. "Okay, counselor. It's a deal." "Fine. We'll pick up the money later this evening if that's okay." "Sure, counselor. Anytime. Anytime at all." He hung up. I grinned at Howley, who was sitting across the desk from me. "Well, that winds it up." "I don't get it," Howley said. "Why'd you call up Rocky? What was the purpose of that deal?" "No deal," I told him. "I was just warning him that killing you and taking the gadget wouldn't do any good. That we've covered you. He won't bother having anything done to you if he knows that the secret of the gadget is already out." Howley's eyes widened behind those spectacles of his. "You mean they'd kill me? I thought Nevada gamblers were honest." "Oh, they are. They are. But this is a threat to their whole industry. It's more than that. It may destroy them. Some of them might kill to keep that from happening. But you don't have to worry now." "Thanks. Tell me, do you think we've succeeded?" "In what you set out to do? Certainly. When we mail out those gadgets to people all over the state, the place will be in an uproar. With all the publicity this case is getting, it'll have to work. You now have a court decision on your side. A decision which says that a psionic device can be legally used to influence gambling games." "Why, man, they'll have to start investigating. You'll have every politico in the state of Nevada insisting that scientists work on that thing, to say nothing of what the syndicate will do." "All I wanted to do," said Howley, "was force people to take notice of psionics. And I guess I've done that." "You certainly have, brother. I wonder what it will come to." "I wonder myself sometimes," Howley said. That was 3.5 years ago. Neither Howley nor I are wondering now. According to the front page of today's Times, the first spaceship, with a crew of 80 aboard, reached Mars this morning. And on page 2, there's a small article headlined, "Rocket Obsolete, Say Scientists." It sure is. The end. So it's mind magic? It's to some kind of... I know I've heard of psionics before. It's just like, it's forms of stuff like telekinesis and things like that. So it's just mind over matter? Voodoo bullshit. gosh. That was an interesting read, actually. Go Slug, thank you, Black Rose. Thank you guys all for being here today for this. I hope you guys enjoyed the story. That was an odd one. That was an odd one. It was good till the last couple lines. Are you mad? Are you mad at the ending? Are you mad there's not more of a scientific ending to it? Forcing all your wants into an outcome. It was great. You're mad at how stupid the scientists were? For sci-fi, it wasn't very sci-fi. It was, as Jinx mentioned, I was a little bit wrong. So the 2007 date was when it was published to the, public domain. So it's a 1959 book. For 1960s, like, almost, I think I'm pretty sure, like, mind control and stuff like that was a form of sci-fi, so I can't really blame them for labeling it that. There were so many ways to do it better than making a fool of the justice system. Okay, but making a fool of the justice system was really funny, actually. I kind of liked that part. I thought it was very, very playful in how they did the court case. That makes sense. That was a big thing. Yeah. So 1959, we gotta put ourselves in that kind of shoes. 1959, LSD was science fiction. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. But yeah. So we gotta put ourselves in, like, early sci-fi shoes a little bit. Do you guys want me to find something a little more, like, space-related for next time? Because so I really like sci-fi. I really like reading sci-fi. You could also read disturbing fan fictions. No! I could not. I would cringe so hard. Cyberpunk inspired. Under the Sea. Okay, so I actually really thought about reading Jules Verne, like 20,000 Leagues, but there's some questionable parts of it that I might have to, like, reword because I don't like them. I wanna read more, like, ocean-based stuff, but I couldn't find too many. I gotta find stuff that's all in the public domain. We only got public domain to work with. Sea stories. It's set in space with it's what? Hold on. Ow. My arm broke a little bit. I had to turn off my tea heater. I found one book that was like ocean stories, but it was written very oddly. Very, like, almost old English sailor speak. It was gonna be very difficult to read. We can put up a poll of short stories. I can do polls on YouTube, can I? How about I find a couple of stories and I will give you guys the options for them, and if I can find, like, a short description of them, I'll let you guys know kind of what they're about. I think I want to find... How were you guys on the length of this story? We hit just about an hour and a half, including talking. Would you guys be interested in longer? Would you guys be interested in shorter? Sounds perfect. Yeah, we'll do a poll then. This is minimum time? Yeah, this is like a good minimum time, right? Okay, so we'll work off this length of story. I'll work off this length of story, and I can kind of gauge that by how big this bar is. And we'll pick stuff that is just about this long or longer. You're here no matter what, so... Thank you guys. Thank you all for joining me for this, really. I had a lot of fun. I think it was an interesting new style of stream for us. If longer, then you personally would like a longer break in the middle. Oh yeah, for sure. I actually had a whole break thing set up, but I was looking at the time and finding that it wasn't going to take us that long, so I opted out of a longer break other than a few talking points. But if we do something longer, if we hit the 2-hour mark, we will take more like a 10-15 minute break. Like an actual Annie's gonna go do some stuff, make some new tea, things like that. We will have more of like a long form break when we do that. And we'll probably have more talkie talks for longer books. We'll probably have more talkie talks for longer stories. I would love to read you guys, like, some more of, like, my favorite kind of things, but I gotta stick to public domain so I don't get in trouble, I think. It would be cool if I could, like, get to read, like, stuff, like if someone was like, hey, I like your narration. Ooh, book. No, Rune, I can't read yours. I wouldn't be allowed to do that on YouTube. It's like English class all over again. Some people do, again, people give criticism or suggestions that Annie and Slug manage. Yes. I'm gonna actually, oh god, I can't do that, Porsche. I can't do that. It's too controversial. Yours are perfectly fine for ages above 30. Oh Jesus. Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. Oh, I have like a hangnail I have to snip because it's starting to hurt me. Ow. Ow. Ah, I didn't get it. Above 30 stop provoking content warning, mortgages and divorce. Ha ha ha. I know, Cthulhu. If we find something Lovecraft-esque that's not Lovecraft, like, dude, trust me, I wish it wasn't the way it was, but I gotta stick to stuff that's like not gonna get me in trouble. Yeah, I was gonna say, Rune, I adore you, but I can't get any of descriptions of your books. I can't give any descriptions of your books. But how did you guys like our story today? How'd you guys like our story today? Was it a good one? Was it a little boring? How'd we feel about it? Let's discuss. Yes, Annie wants to stay away from anything that is going to get Annie in trouble. Was solid. Y'all are such babies. Y'all are such little babies. I'm gonna give y'all head pets. Just head pet chat. Just head pet chat. Hone has 0 retention, so no, all you know is empty box L. Those are off today. Those are all off today. Thank you, though. All you remember is empty box. So basically, we have a guy who made an invention or something, and he decided to go with a criminal lawyer to represent him because he knew he was going to get in trouble. And they between themselves tricked the entire justice system into allowing mind control based technology to be allowed in gambling. I think that was the long and short of it. Slug also has like 0 retention. It's also hard when I'm like reading the story out loud because I feel like I retain a little less. That's metal, you'd have used that for sure. Cause it's just a good luck charm, right? there's nothing scientific about it. There's nothing that can do anything. I don't even actually know if it does anything. I don't even know if it does anything. Does it center the mind waves? Does it like only work if you are like focusing your mind waves through it? Like, let's Google psionics. Let's Google psionics. Brainwashing Kuro games to let you pull 5 stars. Every convene in Wuthering Waves. Oh god. Thanks. So, in American sci-fi of the 1950s and 60s, which is what we were reading, psionics was a proposed discipline that applied principles of engineering, especially electronics, to the study and employment of paranormal or psychic phenomenon, such as extrasensory perception, telepathy, and psychokinesis. So yeah, I was right. It fell into like all of the like mind control categories. It has special paint, that's why the pictures and the words were, let's say, Danish. It's using devil worship to control a ball. I mean, the way I was reading it, it seemed like it could be like runes or something in the, not you rune, I mean the type of like symbols. I thought it was like weird symbols and stuff inside the box that like made the magic happen, you know? Manifest, just summon a demon and sell your soul for benefits. Yum, yum. No. Hone, how do I summon you? It's fun just getting to vibe with you. Thank you, Godzilla. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. I honestly thank you all of you for hanging today. The title was a bit weird though. You don't understand the connection. I'm assuming the title was Freshetta Frozen Pizza. Okay, Freshetta pizzas are good though. They're fucking Hawaiian is great. I believe the or your money back is like as if he were selling it as like a guarantee, like you'll win at gambling or your money back. Freshetta pizzas are so good. That's like my go-to. The Newman's Own one are good too, but the Freshetta are bomb. Also, you're getting the Hone summoning supplies. Oh. I have a frozen Freshetta pizza, I'm pretty sure. Can I summon the Hone? So we're gonna definitely plan for a little bit longer story next time. We're gonna plan for a little longer story next time. Is it for you that the chat doesn't update on stream, only here? I think, did the YouTube API just break? I think the API just broke. Let me see if that's anything I can fix. Are you gonna come back? That's even further up. That's even further up. Okay. What the hell? This is why I don't like YouTube sometimes, guys. This is why I don't like YouTube sometimes. Okay. Okay, is it working now? Ain't no stream like a sluggy stream cause a sluggy just don't stop. Okay, that was really weird. That was really weird. Honestly, how do you guarantee the gamble win if everyone buys the tool whose tool takes priority? That's a really good question, Hone. They said some people didn't have a strong enough mind to use it, so maybe it goes by, like, the power of your mind hierarchy. Like, if you've got a stronger mind than the person who otherwise is trying to do it. Yeah! Exactly, Rune. The one with the biggest mind. The one with the strongest mind powers. So. Beans. This has been a really, really fun stream. I'm so grateful you guys came out to read with me. I will be putting a couple polls in the Discord and on YouTube. That requires a really shady warranty then. Would be willing to read like a survival story? Like someone like trapped on like an island or something kind of deal, like Castaway? Is that kind of what you're thinking? Because those are kind of cool. Those are kind of neat. I like movies like that. I have to do works in the public domain. If you guys find a work in the public domain you'd like me to read, feel free to send that along to me or Straws. We can curate based off of that. I'm happy to hear any suggestions. We can probably try and do some more like bigger names, like I don't know. We want to do like Philip K. Dick or like H.G. Wells. I know H.G. Wells is a little iffy, but I think most of his writing's pretty okay. I want to read more like space sci-fi, warrior cats. I don't know, I like my sci-fi. I like my sci-fi a lot. But I am willing to branch out. I wish I could read you guys some like really interesting books like I physically have. Like I have really interesting like books about like dinosaurs and stuff, but they're like more like novels. But space warrior cats. Annie had to stretch. Okay. Yeah, if we do a longer stream, there'll definitely be more breaks. Moonstar, ironically an illegal name in the series. Excuse me? Actually, I do want to read Jacqueline Hyde, but I would like to read Jacqueline Hyde around October. I actually want to do a few like horror books and stuff through October if I can. If we're still doing this, if you guys still like these. Warriors lore can't name a kit with the prefix moon because of the moonstone. Okay, yeah, I would never know that. But yeah, I saw Dr. Jackal and Mr. Hyde on the public domain list, and that was already on my radar. What else kind of stuff is over in the public domain? What other kind of stuff do we got? Also, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is fucking long. Just so y'all know. So that one I'm like looking at like, that would take me months to read. That would take me literal months to read. Let's glance in what's popular. Frequently downloaded. Top 100 ebooks as of the last 7 days. Let's go with that. Let's see what kind of stuff is in here. The Last of the Masters? I don't know if I know that one. I do see Frankenstein in here. I actually read Frankenstein when I was younger. I like Frankenstein. I think it's a really interesting story. Mary Shelley's a good writer. Oh, there's a Kafka book. There's a lot of real classics like Sherlock Holmes, Importance of Being Earnest, Tale of Two Cities. I want something a little more obscure. Does that make sense? Filter fanfics author Frog 50. No fanfics, no fanfics. Sent on Discord on the wiki page? Thank you, Bean. Could read Wuthering Heights since everyone's on about Wuthering Waves. No. Read Les Miserables. Make everyone sad. Just pay you to write a custom story. What else is in here? Ooh, the Divine Comedy. I got in trouble for reading the Divine Comedy when I was younger. I got in trouble for reading Dante. People in my school were very unhappy with that. Calculus Made Easy? This written in what is this? Calculus Made Easy? Is that actually calculus? Oh my god. No. I thought it was like just a book called that. No, we're not learning calculus. You want to hear me read the Divine Comedy? Could read Sherlock Holmes. Could read The Hound of Baskerville. Ooh. What's this about? What's this about? Oh, damn it. It's political science. I don't want to read poli-sci. I don't want to read poli-sci. I'm gonna have to, oh my god, no, we're not reading Beowulf. We're not reading Beowulf. What's the top ones yesterday? What's the top ones yesterday? Said Sherlock Holmes and you just sent a short story from the same author. Oh, that's another one from Arthur Conan Doyle. Poli-sci is the creepy uncle of books. Okay, that's fucking funny though. That's fucking funny. I'm gonna need to find like, I don't know. I'm gonna need to just like hunt down what are good books in the public domain. What are good books to read in the public domain that aren't incredibly long. Snort spiritual. Because I'm not finding anything good in this list right now. 15,000 useful phrases. I definitely need those. There's Agatha Christie. I didn't know Agatha Christie stuff was old enough to be in the public domain. Let me see. Search and browse, book search, bookshelves. Oh, I can search by categories. You read it at a list and something called Little Fuzzy showed up. You don't know what that is at all. If the phrase, I want to quack the duck inside of my childhood is not in the phrase book, then it's not a good phrase book. Excuse me? Okay. Yeah, we're gonna read banned books. No. Gonna get me in trouble. What are we looking for? I want books on mycology. Take care, Ping. Thank you for being here. You can read the Wikipedia page of Hatsune Miku. Oh my god. You guys just listen to me read anything. Let's open up a couple of these tabs. Okay. So, what do we have? Plague ship is something that was mentioned to me earlier, wasn't it? Plague ship was something that was mentioned, and that just came up on my list. I'm just gonna start pulling up a bunch of different books that look interesting. There's so many of Frankenstein here right now. There's like 6 different versions of Frankenstein. This is gonna be fun to try and sort through, but I think I'm gonna find you guys. I think I'm gonna find you guys like 3 different books. I think I'm gonna find you guys like 3 different books or so, and we're gonna vote based off of those. What is this? The undersea tube? The undersea tube? This is about as long as the one we just read. Actually, possibly longer because the way the book is spaced out. What is the undersea tube about? I like anything that's ocean related, so... Of course, we've got all the classics. Journey to the Center of the Earth, War of the Worlds, The Mysterious Island. Gotta find some good stuff. I gotta find some good stuff. Isn't the Island of Dr. Moreau interesting, or is that one weird? I can't remember. I'm gonna have to, like, do so much research trying to figure out what to read. Alright. Yeah, I'm gonna work on finding you guys some stuff to vote on. In the meantime, though, I don't have too much else for you guys today. So that has been our first reading stream. I'm so grateful all of you guys came to visit today. Hang out in the YouTube side. I know it's not our usual place, but I think it worked out better for this. Yeah, they are. I don't know how much I want to read Disney. Boo, more Slug. I didn't have anything else planned. I didn't have a second book or anything planned today. I wanted to gauge how long these would be based off this one anyway. So yeah, we took about 2 hours, including chatting and talking about the book after and in between. I will go based off a little longer books going forward, and I'm gonna propose a couple of books to you guys in the Discord and on YouTube, and whatever has the most votes between those two will be our book for next Saturday, as long as I'm streaming next Saturday. I think I'm streaming next Saturday. Likely I'm streaming next Saturday. We'll see. So, thank you guys for being here. Did my music end? My music ended. So that's about the length of my playlist too, is like 2 hours. Oh, how was the music for this stream? How was the ambiance? Because I wanted something that wasn't too overbearing, but also was just like nice background. Do I think I'll look at some survival stories? If I can find a way to search for those in the public domain, I will take a look, Godzilla. You now hear the music and it's baller. Honestly, the music can pause for a minute or so. Good night, Gray. Thank you guys again. Yeah, we will see you for tomorrow's stream. We will be here and on Twitch again tomorrow for our usual model kit stream. I will be building a Zegok, and I will have a schedule out for you Monday. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining me today. Thank you guys for trying out this new kind of stream with us. And I hope to see you guys again. I hope to see you guys again over here. So, good night, everyone. I can't raid out or anything over on here, so we're just gonna end stream. Once we get YouTube monetized, I'll be allowed to raid people like we do on Twitch. So if you guys want to see that, if you guys want more stuff on the YouTube, if you guys want to be able to support the Slug on the YouTube, then keep coming to these reading streams and keep watching them after. If you missed any of it, the VOD will be up. I'm going to make the VOD with chapters so that you guys can easily access the whole story right in a row. Or would you guys prefer it edited? Would you guys prefer an edited copy be posted that is just a story straight through? Or would you prefer it to have chapters that you can skip over the discussions? I could just keep the VOD up and do an edited copy. I'm not sure what the best course of action is. What would you guys like? Would you guys like to just hear the Slug straight through? If you guys were listening to it in post? Let's hear the words of the beans. Let's hear the words of the beans if anyone's got any thoughts. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to go and try and ask. You like the open discussion bits. Okay. So if you were watching it after, you like the open discussion bits? You're an English nerd, so you see it as an open lecture. You can do manual raid outs. You know certain streamers who'll be doing live. You'll discuss that at tomorrow's meeting. Yeah. Just keep up the raw stream. Okay. I worry the raw stream isn't gonna get as much discoverability, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. Is it weird to have a raw stream and an edited stream up? Like, I don't think it's a weird thing to have a raw and an edited one. Is it? We'll maybe talk about that tomorrow, or I'll figure it out. That's the Slug thoughts for the day. If any of you guys have any suggestions, you don't think so? You see streamers do plain VODs and highlights of the same stream? Yeah, like, I almost think it would be like a highlight reel. It would just be like the straight reading. I think it'd be cool to have an edited version so there's more content on the videos tab. That's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah, I think I might download this and we will have an edited version that is just the story. We're gonna try that. We're gonna see how that goes. All right. Thank you guys for being here. I can't thank you all enough for being here today. This meant a lot to me. I was really nervous about doing this kind of stream. I was afraid no one would show up. So thank you guys for proving me wrong. I appreciate all of you. Gotta get your Sunday ear hole feel of the Slug cabin on. Alright, Beans. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. I will see you all tomorrow over on Twitch. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.